Hello, BookTube. This is Alan. I'm going to continue today with my May is for magazines. This is from the Literary Life from December 1901. So I turned to this one here, this little essay called Washington Irving and his description of an English Christmas. This one is actually authored by Charlotte Boardman Rogers. Excuse me, let me take a drink before I start. Washington Irving, as you may well know, is the author of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow and also Rip Van Winkle. He also wrote a book about Christmas and he's written several short stories and everything. So let's begin. Washington Irving and his description of an English Christmas. One of the most charming writers we have ever known in America is Washington Irving, who appreciated, as few others do, the wealth of literary material to be found in every object that meets the eye. His style is fresh and natural, so full of pathos and humor, combined with facts that are contrasted with the most delightful conceptions of fancy. His writings include works both long and short, the former offering the reader pleasure to last for many hours, while the latter can be picked up and read at odd moments. All of his books and short articles, the sketchbook is one of the most enjoyable, and especially so at this season of the year, because of this description of an English Christmas. First, he writes of an ancient custom which are so closely related to the festivals, but which he says are growing more faint, being gradually worn away by time, but still more obliterated by modern fashion. They resemble those picturesque morsels of Gothic architecture which we see crumbling in various parts of the country, partly dilapidated by the waste of ages, and partly lost in the additions and alterations of the latter days. He then goes on to tell of the universal spirit of love and friendship that prevails whenever the grand old festival is observed, especially in rural England, where the religious and social rites break up the monotony of country life. Even the poorest cottages welcome the festive season with green decorations of bay and holly. The cheerful fire glances raised to the lattice, inviting the passengers to raise the latch and join the gossip knot huddling round the hearth, beguiling the long evening with legendary jokes and oft-told Christmas tales. In the second of these sketches, the stagecoach, he describes the most vivid manner and on Christmas Eve. In the evening, we reach a village where I had determined to pass that night. As we drove into the great gateway of the inn, I saw on one side the light of the rosy kitchen fire beaming through the window. I entered and admired for the 100th time that picture of convenience, neatness, and broad, honest enjoyment, the kitchen of an English inn. It was of spacious dimensions, hung round with copper and tin vessels, highly polished and decorated here and there with a Christmas green. Hams, tongue, and fletches of bacon were suspended from the ceiling. A smoke jacket made its ceaseless clanging beside the fireplace, and a clock ticked in one corner. A well-scored deal table extended along one side of the kitchen with a cold round of beef and other hearty viands upon it, over which two foaming takers of ale seemed mounting guard. Travelers of the inferior order were prepared to attack this stout repast, while others sat smoking and gossiping over their ale, or two high-backed oaken settles beside the fire. Trim housemaids were hurrying back word and forward under the directions of the fresh, bustling landlady, but still seizing an occasional moment to exchange a flippant word and have a rallying laugh with a group around the fire. The scene completely realized poor Robin's humble idea of the comforts of midwinter. Now trees are leafy hats to bear, to reverence winter's silver hair, a handsome hostess, merry host, a pot of ale now and a toast, tobacco and a good go fire, are things this season doth require. This verse, which the description is concluded, is a quote from Poor Robin's Almanac, 1684. How vividly the scene is pictured! By means of the clever arranged sentences, the reader is made familiar with the quaint inn kitchen and its Christmas cheer. As an example of the artistic effect of grouping together a few descriptive words, we excuse me, excuse me. As an example of the artistic effect of grouping together a few descriptive words, we have here a paragraph that has really rarely been surpassed. And then as a writer, and thinking the morrow in his homeless state in a foreign country, a post-chaise drives up to the inn door, and who aligns but a former traveling companion, who insists on his old friend occupying him to his father's country seat for the holiday season. It is better than eating a solitary Christmas dinner at the inn, said he, and I can assure you of the hearty welcome in something of the old-fashioned style. And so we of today are given a delightful picture of English Christmas as is recognized in Irving's time. He speaks of the burning of the Yule log, the Christmas candle, the mistletoe with its wax-like berries, and its enchanting privileges to the maiden and her swain, the old games of the hoodman blind, shoe the wild mare, and others, which were especially popular in the servants' hall. Excuse me, I'll take a drink here. Excuse me. As the company assembled, he writes, it was composed of different branches of numerous family connection, where there were the usual proportion of old uncles and aunts, comfortable married dames, superannuated spinsters, blooming country cousins, half-fledged striplings, and bright-eyed boarding-school hoodlums. At the supper on Christmas Eve, he says, the table was abundantly spread with substantial fare, but the squire makes his supper of frugality, a dish made of wheat cakes boiled in milk, with rich spices, being a standard dish in the old times of Christmas Eve. I was happy to find my old friend mince pie in the returning of the feast, and finding him to be perfectly orthodox, and that I need not be ashamed of my predilection. I granted him with all the warmth wherewith we usually greet an old and very gentle acquaintance. The last sentence are an example of his delightful boyism, which is constantly showing itself in his writing up to the very end. Then come the chapters entitled Christmas Day and the Christmas Dinner, where he writes most beautifully of the manner of keeping the festival. In a footnote to the Christmas dinner, the following appears. At the first publication of this paper, the picture of an old-fashioned Christmas in the country was pronounced by some as out of date. The author has afterwards an opportunity of witnessing almost all the customs above described, existing in unexpected vigor in the skirts of Derbyshire and Yorkshire, where he passed the Christmas holidays. Irving again refers to this Christmas customs in the account of his visit at Newstead Abbey. These Christmas sketches and all the other articles in the volume that were written during his visit to England, full of the spirit of friendliness that is delightful to witness. He is so enthusiastic over everything he sees and does, yet his writings have none of the flavor of the Anglo maniac that is so aggressive in many of the books of today. Irving has described the ideal Christmas, with its dear old customs, its spirit of charity to all men, when even his day was dying out. The truth indeed did he utter of this generation even more of his own when he wrote, "The world has become more worldly. There is more dispensation and less of enjoyment. Pleasure has expanded into a broader but a shallower stream, and has forsaken many of those depths and quiet channels where it flows sweetly through the calm bosom of domestic life. Society has acquired a more enlightened and elegant tone, but has lost many of its strong local peculiarities, its homebred feelings, its honest fireside delights. Deeply in this fact to be deeply is this fact to be regretted, but let us not waste time bemoaning the past, but rather let us do what we can to make this first Christmas of a new century possess some of the old time cheer and heartiness that has been gradually decreasing during the past 100 years. And that is the end of the essay of Washington Irving, his description of an English Christmas by Charlotte Boardman Rogers. Thank you very much, Book 2, for listening. Like, subscribe if you wish, comment if you wish, and take care.